I'ma show you how I wanna live it. I'ma show you how I wanna live it. Tryna ball game, no scrimmage. Crack the code, it's getting old. When I die, hope they bury me in gold. I'm just moving faster, other rappers stuck in cruise control. Never see disaster when the chapter skips, the truth be told. I made it past Ayatollah the skies.
What's the tea, y'all? It's your girl Kapri here for my first ever YouTube video. I am so excited to get this journey started. Y'all have been telling me for years to start a YouTube page, and I am going ahead and diving in. I've been wanting to do it for a while but just didn't have the motivation, but now I'm super excited to go ahead and bring you guys content. This is going to be a beauty and plus size fashion channel for now anyway. I will dabble into other things along the way once I get the hang of things. Do not judge the quality of this first video because I really was just trying to get the hang of filming myself and also trying to do my hair at the same time, so it might be a little rocky for the first video, but hey, anybody who has ever made it on YouTube's first video is looking like okay. So without further ado, this first video is going to be how I achieved this look, my DIY crochet faux locks. This is super easy, super cheap. You really don't need much time to do it either, and they last quite a while. I personally like this look because it is pretty natural looking for the most part. I know a lot of faux locks can look faux, so I tried to find different types of, you know, faux dreads and see which one worked best for me, and this has been my favorite look thus far, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it and let's get it. I want to show you guys the materials I used for this video, and I know some of it may be stuff that's like that's kind of a given, but I'm going to show you anyway. So the hair that I have been using is the Freetress Braid brand. It is the Bow Locks 14-inch in the number 2. I will actually put up a picture of this or a link just because obviously I used most of the packs. I only have a couple left, so I don't have a very good example. I know it says braid, but it is a dread here. They look a little funny in the package, but on obviously they look a lot better. They have the loop at the top, if you can see that, and that way you can crochet it in. You will need a crocheting hair tool. I have 2 of them. I have the bigger one and the smaller one. I prefer the smaller one, especially with my individuals up at the front, but either one will do, honestly, so if you can't get one or the other, you know what you can do. I have some needle and thread, hair sewing needle, obviously, because you can't don't bring out your sewing kit, but hair thread, hair needle, just to sew down some of the parts in the back. That way, if you're wearing it for a while, this is a protection style, so if you're wearing it for a while, they are not going to come loose. Also, I have my handy dandy, it looks bigger than it is, but Eco Styler. I don't use a lot of product just because you don't want all that gunking up if you're going to be wearing it for a while. If you're not going to wear it for a long time, then don't worry about it. So I have some edge control. You can use whatever kind of edge control you want to use. Have a couple rubber bands and also a couple of hair pieces that I use to put on, just so a little, a little razzle dazzle, because I don't like to be plain Jane all the time. You can obviously take them out, put them in, and I think that's honestly all I use besides a couple of clips and some rubber bands. Everything else is kind of stuff you'll have at the house. I didn't spend more than 40 bucks on all of this stuff. The hair itself was $5.99 a pack, and I bought 5 packs, and I have this much left. And then yeah, I was cutting it close, but obviously I always have some left over, so I just knew that I didn't need that much. And the other supplies is usually stuff that you have at your house if you do your own hair. So that's about it. We can go ahead and jump in and get to the tutorial. Okay. Come on, Angela Davis. Come on, Diana Ross. But anyways, let's get this party started. I have washed my hair, and my hair is still wet, especially at the front. I braid my hair while it's still wet. A lot of people say that's bad for you. I don't care about all of that because my hair is growing and rapidly. And I just do it, like, my hair is damp, just because when I braid my hair, there's no way I'm about to brush through it when it's dry. So I cut that out. And also at the front, it's especially wet because I use lemon water. I use like probably this much lemon juice and the rest water, because I found out that that is good for dandruff. And I know especially for me, when you have your protective styles in for quite a while, like I usually keep mine in for about a month and a half or two, so I use that, keeps the dandruff away at least for a while. I usually take mine down when I start to get lots of dandruff in the front area, and that is what it is, you know, it's a part of life. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is section off the front part of your hair. The reason why we do this is because with this method, the front part of your hair is going to be individual crochet locks, while the back is going to be regular crochet style, where you do the cornrows and feed it into the cornrows. I do this just because with this method, it's a lot more realistic looking. I go out places all the time and people ask me if these are my real dreads. And of course I go ahead and tell them how this method works, and they're just like dumbfounded that it's so seamless. So you're gonna see me try and get this part as crisp as possible. It's not necessary that it be super crisp, because with this particular brand of dreads, they look, you know, the messier the better. However, me being me and my OCD, I gotta make my part as crisp as I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that up. You can do it to your liking and whatever your preference is.
I've been up all night, I've been up all night, I've been up all night. Sometimes I'm feeling down, gotta find a way to just turn it around. I've been up all night, I've been up all night.
Now I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the cornrows in the back section. Now, I'm not very good at cornrows, so I'm probably gonna do most of these off camera. But it doesn't really matter if you can do cornrows or not. If you can lay down some braids, or braid to the scalp as they say, then this is a look you can still achieve, because all of your braids are going to be covered by the faux dreads themselves, so you don't really have to worry about how they look, if they're fuzzy or what have you. So I'm going to go ahead and get those done, and then we'll jump back in.
Follow, make progression, never need digression, food without digestion, just a form expression, mental shock protection, the way that I just stepped in, change your whole perception, didn't really mention, in my zone dimension, felt for comprehension, making that detention, attention, don't.
I look like Oswald the octopus right now. So now I need to take and feed these braids that are hanging down back up into themselves. I know that's harder to explain than it actually is, but I'm gonna go ahead and try and do a couple of these on camera just so y'all could see what I'm talking about.
I've been up all night, I've been up all night.
So I have grabbed my crochet tool now. You're gonna need to make sure that latch is open, and that way you can push it through and grab your hair. So you need to put it right through your cornrow, and then grab the braid that's hanging down from the other side. Latch that in, close the latch, and pull it straight through the cornrow. You're going to do the same thing from the other side. Make sure that latch is open, push the tool straight through your cornrow, grab that braid, put it in the needle, latch it back, pull it through. You're going to repeat these steps, zigzagging that hair through the cornrow. You can go up the cornrow and down the cornrow if you have to. I know my hair is longer, so I have to go back and down the cornrow once I reach the top, but that's okay. Like I said, those faux locks are going to cover this up, so you don't even have to worry about it being seen, and you need to do this to all of your braids.
I've been up all night, I've been up all night, I've been up all night. Sometimes I'm feeling.
Okay, so this is the finished look, everybody. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook at Kapri. Well, I have just finished intertwining my cornrows, if you will, and what I'm going to get ready to do, I have hair, needle, and thread. I want to do like real YouTube things and be like, this is the thread, I got it for $1 at Beauty Depot. Needle, oh, there we have you. So I'm gonna go ahead and just sew this little ball of fun that I have going on back here down, that way they don't come out, as I mentioned earlier, and then we will move on to the individuals at the front.
comprehension, making that detention. Attention, don't really mind if they fail to see that I've been up all night, I've been up all night, I've been up all night. Sometimes I'm feeling down, gotta find a way to just turn it around.
Now, it's time to do the individual braids in the front. I have sewed down the back of my hair. Oh. So now all that's left to do before we start installing the hair itself is individually braid the front. So, let's do it. So I'm going to do most of these individual braids off camera as well, but I am going to show a little bit just for placement purposes. I try and make sure that my individual braids are in windows with the cornrows behind them, just because that way it hides where those cornrows begin and adds to that overall seamless and realistic look, because you can't actually tell that it's not a complete head of individual braids. It's actually only about 1/4 of your head that's individually braided. So you can do it to your liking or whatever your preferences are. I'm going to go ahead and do it in windows like I always do, and then we're going to get started with installing the actual hair.
Feel it till your chest hurt, intermediate, I'm an expert in this expedition, can't blur my vision, stuck in subdivision, not up to par.
Excuse me while I do my Tyra Banks. As you can see, I have finished my individuals at the front. So now we are ready to go ahead and install. So now for the fun part, you're going to grab your faux lock of choice. You see we have that loop there at the end. What we're going to do is the same thing we did when we were intertwining our braids, which is open that latch, push through the cornrow. We're going to put that loop in the latch this time though, close it up and pull it back through the cornrow. Then you're going to do the same thing you did with that braid and pull it through that loop as well. Tighten it up, and there you have it, a dread. Now it's pretty self-explanatory that you're going to need to repeat this step up and down each and every one of your braids. I wouldn't space them out any more than maybe 1 centimeter apart. I try and get mine as close as possible to give it a fuller look. If you want them to look a little thinner, I know some people don't like a whole lot of body, then you can try and space it maybe 3/4 of an inch apart, but not too far apart, because you want to make sure that those cornrows aren't seen. The closer they are together, the less of the braid underneath you're going to see.
Change your whole perception, didn't really mention, in my zone dimension, felt for comprehension, making that detention. Attention, don't really mind if they fail to see that I've been up all night, I've been up all night, I've been up all night. Sometimes I'm feeling down, gotta find a way to just turn it around. I've been up all night, I've been up all night, I've been up all night.
Hold up, kids. We are getting somewhere. So I have finished with the back. Now all I have left is the individuals in the front, and then we'll be done. So for the individuals in the front, it's honestly so much more simple than it looks. You do the same exact thing as you were doing through the cornrows through the individual braid. So you're going to poke through that individual braid, latch on, close your latch, and grab that loop and pull it through your braid. As you can see, it is in the middle of that braid. You're going to latch on to the end of your dread, pull it through your loop, tighten that up just like you did on the cornrow. Here you see me pulling that tight, just making sure, tugging it a couple of times for safe measure to make sure it's as close to the scalp as possible to cover up the beginning of that braid. And the most important part here is you're going to unravel that dread a little bit and wrap it around that braid. It's going to cover up the individual braid, and you're just going to keep wrapping and wrapping until you get to the bottom of your braid. Sometimes if you have issues, you can use your crochet needle and do the pull through method, which is where you go through the middle of the dread and pull that braid through, but I prefer to just go ahead and wrap it. That way I know I'm covering the complete braid.
I've been up all night, I've been up all night. Sometimes I'm feeling down.
Once you've gotten all of your braid covered in that hair, I like to give it a little hand twist just to make sure that the braid is secure and not coming out of the dread. If your hair is longer, you want to make sure you get longer dreads. That way it's long enough for your braid to be covered completely. And then you're just going to keep repeating this step for all of the individual braids that you decide to do in the front.
Words when I'm speaking out that poetry, so it's uncontrollably taking over my life. High beams on, don't lose your sight. Go retreat, just reach these heights. Good karma, just take it.
Alright, and there you have it. This is obviously the finished look. I am pleasantly surprised because I really didn't pay attention to my hair like I normally do when I do this style, because I was more focused on recording for the first time and trying to film. I was more paying attention to that than my hair. But it still looks really good for me to have just kind of lackadaisical, you know, did it. So this is it, and I think my next video is probably gonna be you know, different hairstyles you can do with this look, and then following that I'll do a hair update obviously on how this actual brand is holding up. Be on the lookout for more content, and thank you so much for coming and viewing this video for me. I know a lot of people have been rooting me on and supporting me, so feel free to leave me comments in my comment section, as well as follow me on all my social media and subscribe. And I think that is pretty much it. Thank y'all so much. Much love, and I'll see y'all in the next video.
Show you how I wanna live it. I'ma show you how I wanna live it. Tryna ball game, no scrimmage. Crack the code, it's getting old. When I die, I hope they bury me in gold. I'm just moving faster, other rappers stuck in cruise control. Never see disaster when the chapter skips and truth be told.